Jingle, jingle, jangle, jangle.
Welcome to High Vibes HQ. Today we are speaking with the wonderful Carole Filion, discussing a powerful method called Courtroom of the Mind. This helps people shatter limiting beliefs in just 10 minutes. We're so excited to hear what you think, so get comfy and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome, Carole. It is so amazing to have you here. We're vibing high already.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So for our listeners, please do take the floor and introduce yourself.
So my name is Carole Filion. I mean, technically I'm a mindset coach, but I'm more a reinvention coach based on my own experiences and having done things later in life. I consider myself a little bit of a late bloomer. So that's what I do is I coach women of a certain vintage to in terms of reinvention and what is it that they want to do in their third act. Jane Fonda actually coined that line. The third act is in theater. The third act makes sense of the first two. So here we are at this stage in our lives where a lot of people think, "Oh, are you retired yet?" And a lot of us don't. Retire from what? Hang on a second. So that's what my work is all about, is reinvention. It's vision, decision, self-image. What's your big goal? We still have them. Decision, what's your level of commitment to that vision? And self-image. Do you see yourself as the woman who can step into that? Because, if we look at it as a journey, then vision it sets the course. Decision fuels the motion, and self-image actually determines how far you're going to go, because Maxwell Maltz said it in his brilliant book, Psycho-Cybernetics, that you can never outperform your own self-image. So this is where the work becomes very important, because I find that we very often, especially at this age, will tamper or we'll hold back on the vision because we get so wrapped up in the how that we kind of go, okay, I'd really like this, but maybe this is better. We edit it. We edit it before it even gets out of the gate. So that's what my work is about: vision, decision, self-image.
Yeah, I love that so much. And that has so much depth to it as well, doesn't it? Especially in the third act of reinventing. So what made you come up with the word, or decide on the word reinvent, rather than rediscover or any of the other words? I love that you've chosen reinvent.
Thanks. Actually, I'm glad you asked that question, because I feel like I've done several reinventions in my life, and it's been mission critical, really, because it's not a question of, oh, I'm starting from scratch. No, I'm starting from experience. So I studied music as a kid, but I really didn't do anything musically until I was in my 30s, after a career in tech. So, and all of it tied together, it was finding voice. So that was the first big reinvention piece. And I think that's what really kind of got me thinking, nothing is really a set course, right? We've all seen the meme about what people think entrepreneurship is or building a business is, and it actually is like just a bunch of squiggles, right? So reinvention is the same thing. It's just gathering those breadcrumbs that you've picked up along the way and going, hey, hang on a second, I can use this here. Never in a million years I would have thought this when I set out. But then you find this thing, or it finds you. So reinvention is, it came from that. I mean, that's all. Thanks.
I love that you also said about experiences, because being of a vintage age, and I love that reframe as well, of it really, it's a really great thing to point out, because even when you're in your first act, let's say, no matter what age, you had experiences to build upon. So I remember on a coaching call a while ago, a few years ago actually, when I was younger, and someone saying, "Oh, you don't have the experience for that." And it really hurt. It struck a chord. And so for people listening, what message or, message have you got to say to them about looking forward to that future self to guide you, I guess?
That if one of the things that when I'm going to go off of what you just said about somebody telling you, oh, you don't have the experience for that.
Mm-hmm.
I just posted a note on Substack this week because it was one of those moments where I really do need to share this. And the note was, what if you're not invisible, but rather you're shining so brightly that people that don't want to see are looking away. So it's not you that's invisible. It's that you're stepping into your power. You had that experience, but the person you were talking to didn't get it. And that's where, right? And that's where we kind of second guess ourselves. So I think when it comes to experiences, everything matters. It might seem like it's not a big deal to somebody else. You might think it's not a big deal to somebody else. It's a huge deal to somebody out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah.
I'm kind of...
Yeah, it just makes me think of all of the lessons and learnings, and then that transforms at any age to that self, and also the possibilities and opportunities that unlock within that. And so for you being, and I'll say, a badass.
God love you. Thank you. Best
Carole
ever.
Oh, yeah, Carole's a badass. So yeah, that brings me on to your next, I'll say, your venture, this amazing journey that you're on, and then sharing for everyone else this courtroom of the mind. So I'm intrigued, because I know this is an introduction to it, the story and spark behind this new vision for you to share.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thanks for asking about that, because I am really excited about it. And the reason I am is because I don't like putting anything out that I haven't actually gone through myself. Right? In the age of AI, where you can kind of process your thoughts and do some brainstorming, that's all well and good. But it's, AI still doesn't trump humans. And so this courtroom of the mind is based on CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And, I think it was around the 60s where there was this, CBT actually came out of the 60s, and it was really putting, you look at the thought, the emotional charge, and everything else. And then that kind of evolved into putting a thought on trial. And great concept. However, it works in a therapist's office. And I've done this in a therapist's office over weeks, where that was my homework. Is the minute a thought would hit, boom, put it on trial, and then it would get reviewed. Then we'd discuss it. Then we'd and it would get not tweaked, but there needed to be another human there to actually ask the probing questions.
Yeah.
And did it work for me? Yes. After I want to say maybe it was like 8 or 10 weeks, what happened after that? Then I was left to my own devices. So I thought, oh, I'm equipped for this. It didn't quite work the same without having the other person there. So we're talking years later now. This came up recently, and I thought, you know what? There's one that's really nagging at me. I'm going to run it through. And the verdict, the way I see this thought on trial, by the way, and this is the way I'm doing it is very different. I'm dealing with limiting beliefs, because those are the things that will absolutely debilitate us. They will impact how we create the vision, if we create a vision at all, right? Our ability to make a decision and our ability and how we see ourselves, limiting beliefs block us in every way. So I've taken it, I'm going to give you the kind of the short form of it, is that what I wound up doing is, okay, it's fine to put the thought on trial, like the CBT method had taught me. But this is really, I want to get specific with limiting beliefs and putting them on trial. So the basic was you take the thought or the limiting belief, and then you play the prosecution, the defense, and you are the judge, and the verdict is your new thought. All well and good.
Yeah.
However, when we try to do this ourselves, there are pieces that are going to be missing. Yes, we can play the prosecution and that's going, yep, this is true because this limiting belief is true. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Now, it's not true because, I don't know, let's see. We don't defend ourselves quite as vigorously, or sometimes we don't. Right? Then, or if we do, terrific. But then we might come to the judge's role and come up with a verdict, but then the verdict doesn't really land. It doesn't feel authentic. It's not there. It doesn't lock in and give you that, okay, I've got this. Look out, world, here I come. Because I've just parked this. Now I have. So the difference here with Courtroom of the Mind, I include some prep work. You need to prepare for it. So first of all, what's the charge? And it isn't just, oh, my limiting belief is this. No, I am charged. You are charged with, Carole, you are charged with, let's say, a hopeless inability to release weight because there's a limiting belief there. Oh, well, my mother couldn't shake it off. And, it's just in the genes. It's my family, whatever, right? But it's a charge against us. If we were charged in a court of law, now our freedom is inhibited. We can't do a whole lot until we've actually dealt with the case. Yeah. So that's where it starts. It's framing it that way. That limiting belief is not just no, it's a charge against you. It is seriously impeding the quality of your life. What are you going to do about it? So, number one, how you write the charge. So then, because it's an offense, it's an offense against you to keep, right? So then the next step is there are two exhibits that you have to bring. Exhibit A, which one of the core drivers is impacted? Is it vision, decision, or self-image? What's impacted? What is this limiting belief impacting? Okay, easy enough. Exhibit B might take a little bit longer because you have to identify your top 4 core values. What are your guiding principles? What's important to you? Because chances are that limiting belief is not in alignment with what you really want. What's really important to you. Once you identify that, and that part, exhibit B especially, is super important because it comes in at the end. So then you're ready to put that limiting belief on trial. As the prosecution, you list at least 3 facts, not opinions, not conjecture, facts. So let's say if we stick with the same example, right, that it was it's a hopeless inability to release weight. Okay, well, everything I've tried so far, the scales moved about 5 pounds and then that's it. Okay, fact. All right. And, and so on and so forth, right? You can come up with these things, but not opinions like, oh, well, it's my mother. No. It was like that. It's in the gene pool. No. Hand on the buzzer. Wrong answer. So then as the defense, you can say, okay, now you have to name at least five facts that refute the charge. Well, I've released weight before. When I've committed to something, I've been able to do it. So I can commit to this. I can make this a priority, and so on and so forth, right? You go through the list. So now as the judge, then you turn around as the judge and go, okay, yeah. Yeah, this is doable. Let's look. The defense did a pretty good job. Okay, so yes, I can commit to this, and I can do it. Now, this verdict turns into your affirmation, and the affirmation that you're going to put on a sticky and have it everywhere. Your mirror, you're writing it in your journal. That's the first line every time you're journaling. Every time you open it up, you've got it maybe on your phone as the homepage and everything. That thing needs to be drilling into your subconscious. You need to see it every day and several times a day. And so that's all well and good, but here's what happens. Very often, it's the inner critic that's just donned a robe and just kind of spit something out, allows you to spit something out just so that you can kind of be satisfied somewhat with the verdict. There's the other twist. You need to be able to recognize that. And because if the verdict isn't landing, if it's not right there, if it's not, when you read it, if it's not getting to the core of your being, it was the inner critic that came up with that verdict. Keep digging. But before you can keep digging, you have the right to recuse the judge. You out the inner critic and go, mine is called Madge. I actually give her a name. She's the worst. Scotch drinking, cigar smoking, complains about everybody walking on her lawn. She's the worst. So find your inner Madge and pull her out and go, okay, you need to take the robe off. This is not who I am. This verdict didn't come from my higher self. So you identify that and go, out she goes. Now we're going to move to appeal. This is why the 4 core values are so important, because each justice that's sitting on the Supreme Court bench now, in Courtroom of the Mind, each one represents your core values. So now you're looking at it through 4 different lenses. So let's say the first lens is justice health. What does justice health stand for? Justice health, I stand for putting top quality fuel in my body and moving my body because that's what feels good. Okay. And you write that down. That's justice health. Okay. Now, justice health, how did the defense do? Well, actually, it did kind of line up there, right? You go through every argument, and this is where you have an opportunity to add to the defense's argument through that lens, because each justice now gets to question that. When you look at it through those different lenses, based on what you really, really want, your guiding principles, at the end of it, each justice now is going to have their own verdict. So I commit to meal planning. If, let's say, your one of your core values is to have is to be organized, or whatever it means in terms of health or that kind of thing, right? Every justice is going to come up with a solid affirmation. And then now you've got 4 of them. Their verdict becomes 4 different affirmations. So that that affirmation now, when you're going into the fridge, if you're just grazing and you're not really hungry, you're bored, there's the affirmation, right? It's those things that are going to trigger a response, a positive response from you. And again, those 4, need to be posted everywhere and need to be repeated and need to be written everywhere, especially when they're really hard ones. That's the whole key to the appeals process, is for those that are really, really difficult. So if it's a relationship with money, if it's a relationship with body image, if it's a relationship with relationships, now I can never find anybody to love me, whatever, right? And the other thing too that needs to be taken into consideration is when we look at the limiting belief, is it reactive or creative? Chances are that limiting belief is reactive, right? It's reacting to what we think people think of us in whatever area. The affirmation is an opportunity to be creative, to create a new belief. And the repeating of it is key, because then the old belief starves. Because that's what we're doing with these limiting beliefs. We keep giving them airtime. That's not going to happen because of this. That's not going to happen because of this. Now it's, wait a minute, this can happen because this is what's going on with me right now. I'm shifting. And make no mistake, the more you repeat it, the more the recused judge is going to bark every single day. And eventually it'll shut its pie hole.
Yeah, Madge. Shut that pie hole.
Shut the pie hole, Madge. So it is very powerful. I've gone through it. I've put myself through it. And I still do, still with the same one too, because I come up with different things. So, right, you come up with different defenses. It becomes clearer, and you really get to tap into your potential.
Yeah, I love this so much, and I have many questions that I'm sure our listeners are also wanting to know the answers to. Well, first of all, massive congratulations, because that is deep work.
Thank you. Yeah.
I want to strip it back for people who may not have experienced anything like this, or may not even know some of the jargon or the wording. So for an affirmation, how would you best describe what an affirmation is and why it's so powerful?
It's powerful when it's written in present tense. I am, I have, I do. Right? It's you write the affirmation as though it's something that's already happened. I choose healthy eating. I choose to learn more about XYZ so that I can feed my body what it needs. I choose to get excited about meal planning. I am a master. I am an amazing cook, and now I pour my energy in creating healthy meals.
Yeah. So even you saying that just lights me up, and it's fun and it's easy. You know, I don't feel like I need to do it. I get to do it. And also it's all of these little steps of maybe someone listening hasn't thought of meal prepping before. And it's like, oh, great idea. Now, you also said releasing weight, not losing weight. So what's the difference with that wording?
Well, yeah, nobody likes to lose anything, right? And when we lose weight, we tend to find it again. As opposed to releasing weight. And the weight, it's releasing all the old beliefs that came with it. And that was actually, and that again, from experience. I hit when I turned 60, it really did a number on my head. And so one of the first things that I wanted to do was to look at my health. My mother had like a history of health issues. So I didn't want to follow the same path. So I had, that weight creep that happens over the years. And yeah, I kind of gave in to that limiting belief until I didn't. So I wound up I invested a considerable amount of money, and maybe that's what kept me committed. I'm not sure. Might have had a little bit to do with it or a lot to do with it. But nevertheless, it was the part that was so powerful, and what worked was the mindset work. And that was around language. And it was talking about releasing the weight so that it's, I don't, thank you for protecting me, but it's okay. I don't need protection anymore. Off you go. It was, the visualization and being able to see myself. That's why the self-image piece is so important. I had to see myself in the leaner, healthier version of myself. And this happened when I released just over 30 pounds 3 years ago. It's at 61. I was 61. So, at an age where people will tell you, it's not going to be that easy. I did it within 4 months.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it within 4 months. And I'm still now within probably about 5 pounds of of that weight.
If you can do it, I can do it.
Yes. Yes. Anybody can do it. Yeah. Anybody can do it. Yes. And I asked for help. I got help. And that's an important piece too, because when we try to do it alone and try to do it in a vacuum, it's so easy, that when I talk about decision, right? Vision, decision, self-image, decision, it's, 100% is easy. 99% is hard. Why am I saying that? Because in that 1%, that's where the slice of cake is. That's where that's where the pizza is. That's where the glass of wine is, right? As opposed to 100% all in. I've burnt the ships. No, this is the goal. I see the cake. I see it. Sure, it looks great. Is 5 minutes of like this momentary pleasure is what's going to get in the way of my being able to get down on the floor and play with my grandkids? I don't think so. Boom, perspective, 100% done. It's not even an issue.
Connected to your, not even just your why, your deeper meaning. I'm sure you listening right here, right now, you can relate with this because this is life. This is real talk. And we, especially when we say we're mindset coaches, there sometimes can be quite a lot of pressure and people can forget that we are human too.
Oh my gosh. Still go through it. I mean, you and I have had discussions where I was having a hard time shattering some limiting beliefs, and you've helped me tremendously where that was concerned. So this is, it's work. We do it every day. I just finished working with a client actually that was doing one-on-one, and she was saying, this is a daily thing, isn't it? It's a daily thing. It's a daily thing for me. It's a daily thing for everybody. There is no magic potion no, it's work. Courtroom of the Mind is work. And I'm happy to do it with them as well. That's one thing that they can book a one-on-one and we'll walk through it together. Happy to do that.
The accountability piece is huge. And then any blind spots. What came up for me there was the distinction of anything is possible 100% of the time. Yes.
Yeah.
And especially with support and actually asking for that support. Say, hey, Carole, I really want to shift. Not even shift. I love that you've said shatter your limiting beliefs in 10 minutes. What?
Yeah. I mean, once you've done the work, right? The pre-work, the trial itself doesn't take shouldn't take more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
I didn't want to say should because I hate shoulding on anything.
Stop shoulding all over yourself. Let's get into the courtroom, into the trial, because this is what really excites me as well, of thinking of collecting evidence. And when you say limiting beliefs, these things that block us, and to really be simple of what's holding us back. Just tell us a little bit about the stories that we tell ourselves and then bringing that evidence and collecting it to the courtroom.
Okay. So some of the stories, the common ones are really around our potential, always about what we think we can do. And so, right, I use the weight release example. Money, I can never create money. Oh, money comes in, it goes out faster than it comes in, all of that. That's, I mean, I'm going to get a little maybe on more on the esoteric side, but we're all energy. There's electrical energy flowing through us. We can connect to people like, well, look at us just using technology.
Mhm.
It's not like there's a physical cable. What, you're in Denmark right now, you said?
Yeah.
Right? Not like there's a physical cable coming from me to you, right? It's stuff we can't see. So when we think in those terms, then our potential, I actually put this through AI and going, okay, if we were to calculate the electricity that our body holds and can move, what would that be worth in dollars and cents? Because I remember Bob Proctor saying that, like, we could light up a city. And we do have that kind of potential. I mean, it depends on the calculations. And I know there are going to be purists out there that are going to go, hang on a second. But, even just using E equals MC squared, that part, even just boiling it down to that, yeah, you can kind of calculate it to having a value of billions of dollars. That's speaking to the potential. The only thing that stands in our way is ourselves,
Yeah.
and our thinking and the limiting beliefs. Where did we get them? Right? Sometimes we may have, yes, it could be familial and where we learned, starting with that. But then, we pick up the ball and we learn to play it even better than we were taught. Right. So, and I think we all have little perfectionist tendencies. And I remember a long time ago, someone said that to me. He said, yeah, but you're kind of a perfectionist. So you took what was taught and you made it even worse. So we do that, and at work, with friends, in social situations, right? Things that, and they're little moments that impact us, right? When you said that, the woman saying you don't have the experience for that, there's one in the bucket, right? Because there may have been a belief in there somewhere that, it just added to the weight of that.
Yeah. Collecting evidence. Yeah. Oh. And that's really a great way for us to have reasons, which actually are excuses, to not do that thing that we actually desire. So that really brings us round to the willingness. What I'm hearing from you is, are you willing to commit? Are you willing to feel judged? Are you willing to go on trial? When you said the word charged, I got this kind of like wave over me and goosebumps, shivers. I was like, oh yeah, because we may not stop and pause to actually even think of these things. It's like, oh, shove it under the carpet, just kind of forget about it. You said the word trigger as well, triggered. And then it made me think of emotionally charged. So I'd love to hear a bit about that, of, when it's something in us, especially limiting belief, like that emotional charge that we bring to the courtroom.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because I think there's so many things at play when it comes to those limiting beliefs. And there are two things that two words. One is addiction and the other is normalizing. We'll either, when we normalize it, it's like, oh, it's just the way it is. Then I don't have to work. We can become addicted to that. The limiting belief sometimes serves us because it gives us an excuse not to do the work. I right? The assumption is that it's going to get hard. It is going to get hard, but aren't you worth Hard work? How many hard things have you done for other people? Why the hell wouldn't you just lay down the gauntlet and go, that's it. I can't take it anymore. And that's sometimes what it takes. So it's either constant spaced repetition, as Bob Proctor taught us, is, doing it every day, or emotional impact. That's what causes the change. That's what causes you sometimes to look at it and go, okay, what have I done? What's going on here? Now I have to question everything, right? Because emotional impact happens, divorce, death, illness, news that you were not expecting that came out of nowhere. Oh, what do I do with this now? Hang on. Your level of resilience is going to be based on the amount of work that you have done up until that point. Because you know what? Shit happens. Doesn't matter to who, and doesn't matter. It just does. But it doesn't have to define you, and it doesn't have to add to the bucket.
Yeah. And that's the power of doing the work. And an affirmation that came to me then was simply of, I am a work in progress. And give yourself permission to just be and to learn. And the perfectionist, that is something that really can make us think we're not good enough. And there's a lot of stories that are collected around that to bring to the table. Thinking of Madge, okay. I love that.
Do we have to? She's the worst.
Well, I'm so intrigued to learn a perspective from you, especially with this mindset work, because labeling our saboteurs as 10 saboteurs, the judge is the biggest, ugliest. And from me, I always say maybe a big, very loud, ugly giant that will never go away, yet we can make it to an ant. Because, like you said, it's there for survival and protection. So when you've actually labeled this judge, and you've done an amazing job, I would love to know more about this and how you teach people around this.
Well, I wanted to name Madge for a couple of reasons. One is it's like dealing with another entity, right? It's easier than being hard on myself, because I am hard on myself. I get it. But when I was able to kind of remove that, then I could really, I can show some compassion, because I'm good at that, for showing others compassion. So Madge, thanks Madge, but honestly, you're right out in left field when it comes to that. So why don't we do it my way? And then I wind up having a negotiation with Madge so that I can weigh both sides. So I'd already started kind of doing the prosecution and defense without realizing it. And Madge was a way of being able to look at a situation that was causing me angst or grief or just making me miserable, and be able to laugh at it. And I go, okay, well, if I can just pour that all into one person, woof, would I want to be part of that? Maybe not, but at least I can laugh. So she's very funny looking in my mind. She's so ridiculous, and yet she takes herself so seriously. So you know what I mean? Like, I created this persona, and it wasn't until recently, actually, that I was listening to, there's a masterclass on masterclass.com, and Carol Dweck, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, and I feel badly because they're both great. But Carol Dweck wrote Mindset, the book Mindset. And she talks about that in her relationship with her husband, when there's any kind of, tension between them, they blame it on Bernard. Bernard takes the brunt of whatever it is that. So I thought, okay, so I was on the right track. I think there's value in being able to create an alter ego to put all of that on, rather than having that yoke. It gets heavy after a while.
Yeah, it's kind of like a backpack, isn't it? Like Madge is wanting to be on your back, and you're like, excuse me, just get off. And so
Ding, this is your stop.
yeah. So love that you were aware of it. And then as I frame it, it's like Madge is trying to hijack you. And I reimagine times where I have been hijacked. And my judge is called the Destroyer. Very dark. Like there's anger in there, there's despair, there's a lot of guilt, blame, shame around this. And yeah, like you say, it can feel heavy, it can feel claustrophobic. And so this is what I'm really excited to learn more about the courtroom of the mind with you as well. And so the next part that I'm really intrigued about is the 4 core values. Okay. So as you know, I do NLP and we've done value session. And I always focus on the top 5 core values. So I'm intrigued. Where did the 4 come from?
The 4 are actually, and it could be 5 actually, and I may change it because I love the exercise I did with you to uncover my core values. And then I discovered after that, Susie Welch, who wrote Becoming You, is an NYU professor, and her PhD was all about values and understanding what they are. And so I did the values bridge assessment online, and I believe it's the 4. It's just as simple as that. It was the 4 that are free. And then you can unlock the rest of them, but it'll give you your top 4. It might be the top 5 now. I'm not sure, but if it is, then great. I'll change the number. But I have no qualms of doing it that way. So it really wasn't any more complicated than that. So if you want to make it 5 justices, by all means. If you have, say, 4 justices, and one of your core values, say, maybe has something to do with, maybe it's about finances and wealth and money, and that's an important piece, that might not necessarily relate to wanting to release weight. So right? So it's, if you want 5 core values, by all means, go with the top 5. But what's important is where the limiting belief has not aligned with what is important to you. That's really what it's not so much the number of affirmations, because you could have one that absolutely nails it, gets right to the heart of everything that's important to you. Then that's all you need. The other thing about affirmations too that I want to add is make them short, memorable, impactful, present tense, but short, so that you're not going through this whole long thing and having to memorize it, because then that'll take the wind out of your sails.
Yeah, specific.
You want something that'll hit and nail it right in the moment.
Amazing.
Super easy to remember.
Wow, there is so many, as I say, golden nuggets in this, and I'm excited to listen back and take some notes myself. For people wanting to connect with you, Carole, where can they do that? Where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram, so Carole J Filion. It's Carole with an E, so CAROLE J. Filion is FILION. And so easy to find there. And I also have a membership. You can a free membership on Skool called Badass Coaching. So you can find me there. I can send you the links if you want to share with your audience.
Yes,
all are welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. And that is a great name, Badass Coaching. And yes, I'll pop them in the show notes for everyone to click onto. And before we go, Carole, I would love to ask you one last question.
Sure.
And that is, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self?
Validate yourself. Don't look for external validation. You know in your heart what's right. Just do that.
Felt that. Landed. Beautiful. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure.
It's been such a thrill for me too, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. It was so amazing speaking to Carole about how the mind works and also how to shatter our limiting beliefs in just 10 minutes. So take that time to pause, stop and choose. Tag us in any insights and takeaways, and when you download the case brief, we'll love to hear what comes from that for you as well.